Grimsby's on mute.
I'm sorry,
Make sure Grimsby's on mute, please.
I can't hear you.
Make sure Grimsby.
Welcome, everyone, to the Town of Grimsby Planning Open House of Thursday, February 18th, 21. Members of the public are advised that our meetings are streamed live by the Town of Grimsby. Individuals and media may be audibly and/or visually recorded during this meeting. As well, a reminder, all electronic devices are to be in silent mode during this meeting. Tonight, we will have two open houses. The first open house is with respect to a zoning amendment application for 16 Kemp Road. The second open house will be to hear applications for zoning and draft plan of subdivision for 240, 244, and 248 Main Street East. The purpose of an open house is to provide the first official opportunity for the Council of the Town of Grimsby to hear public comments and gain information from the proponent and consultant regarding the application. A subsequent public meeting will be held at a later date in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. If you have comments, I request that you please come forward and state your name and address. Persons addressing the committee shall confine their remarks to the business at hand and shall direct their comments or questions to the chair. Persons addressing the committee shall not speak longer than 10 minutes. Each presenter may speak only once. If there are questions you want to provide as your input, that is acceptable, but you will have to complete your entire input. We will hear from each speaker before I close the open house and turn to committee members who will have the opportunity to present questions. Any questions will be compiled, and at the end of each open house, the questions will be read and responded to by the applicant or staff. If you feel your questions have not been responded to this evening, you can email our planning department at planning@grimsby.ca. This meeting is conducted in accordance with the town's procedural bylaw 20-65. Members of the public that are here this evening are asked to conduct themselves with decorum and respect and provide the opportunity for all members of the public to express their opinion in an environment of tolerance of all points of view and free of intimidation. Up first, we have 16 Kemp Road. On behalf of the applicant, Mr. Craig Rowe, Senior Planner, Upper Canada Consultants, and Richard Canto, property owners Richard and Gabby Catano. And this is welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Mayor Jordan. Pleasure to be here tonight with you and the councilors.
Okay.
I see we're just adjusting the attendees in the meeting here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm a planner with the Town of Grimsby. Welcome to the open house meeting tonight for 16 Kemp Road West. This is an application for zoning bylaw amendment. Sorry, please wait a minute. Next slide, please. Sorry, Walter, are you sharing your screen? Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm a planner with the Town of Grimsby. Welcome to the open house meeting tonight for 16 Kemp Road West. This is an application for zoning bylaw amendment. There are 3 items on the meeting agenda for tonight: planning department presentation, applicant presentation, and a question and the comments carried at the end. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to provide an overview of the planning process and how you can get involved. It will also provide an overview of the policy and the regulatory framework and the rules and regulations that are in place. Applicant will also provide information and the details regarding the proposal, and we will answer questions and listen to your feedback. Why can plans or bylaws change? The Planning Act provides authority for applicants to submit applications for development proposals that do not meet the current official plan or the zoning bylaw. The town is required to process these applications. So official plan and zoning bylaws may only be amended if it is determined that the proposed changes comply with the overall intent of the official plan and result in development that is compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods. This slide will show you the planning process and how to get involved. The first step is pre-consultation. Applicants are required to pre-consult with the planning department and other agencies with their preliminary plans before they file an application. Once the pre-consultation meeting is over, the applicant will submit a formal application package to the town. Planning staff will review the application to determine if it is complete. Once the complete application is submitted, it will be circulated to various agencies for technical review as well as the public. At this point for this application, we are at the public open house stage. The purpose of the public open house is to provide the public with the opportunity to review and discuss the proposed application with representatives from town and the applicants. At the public open house, applicants can also have the opportunity to hear from everybody, take all the comments they received from agencies and the public in consideration, and then modify or make changes to the plan before the statutory public meeting. After the open house, planning staff will further analyze and suggest for the revision of the application. The applicants will then incorporate comments from the previous steps, update their application package, and present at the statutory public meeting. Suggestions and a staff recommendation report will then be prepared and submitted to council for their decision. You can have your say in 3 ways. First, tell the town what you think. Second, write a letter or email to the planning department. Third, send a copy of your letter or email to your ward councilors. How to stay informed? Please provide your mailing address to the planning department. By doing so, you will receive notice of future meetings, information on how to obtain a staff report, information regarding speaking in front of committee of the whole, and information on how you can appeal the application. Now I will briefly introduce the background information of 16 Kemp Road West. This plan illustrates the location of the subject lands and the land to be severed. The subject lands, which shows in the yellow box, are located on the north side of Kemp Road West and the west side of Mountain Road, right behind the first row of those houses. The subject lands contain a single detached dwelling, detached garage, workshop, and the 3 former turkey barns that are currently being used for self-storage. A portion of the property is laid with gravel for access purposes and the outdoor storage of vehicles and trailers. Next slide. Applications have been made to amend the zoning bylaw. This preliminary plan shows the location of the affected lands and the proposed development plan. The purpose and effect of this zoning bylaw amendment is to amend the zoning from specialty crop to hamlet residential and general employment to allow for the future severance of a 0.45 hectare lot for future residential purpose on the front portion, and the legal operation of an existing self-storage business on the rear portion of the property. Next slide. The subject land is designated Hamlet Residential Area in the Grimsby Official Plan. The permitted uses shall include single detached dwellings, local convenience service retail, small-scale industrial or industrial commercial uses, which serve the needs of the agriculture area. The subject lands also lie within the Kemp and Mountain Road Hamlet Secondary Plan, which is the special policy area of the Grimsby Official Plan. The main permitted uses include single detached dwellings, small-scale commercial or industrial commercial uses, including farm implement dealers, convenience stores, gas stations, and retail shops, which serve the needs of the hamlet residents and the surrounding area and the traveling public. Development criteria will include addressing engineering issues. Next slide. The draft zoning amendment is also attached here. The application proposes to exclude the following uses as permitted in the general employment zone on this lot. This include automobile service garage, automobile body shop, dry cleaning facility, industrial use, research and laboratory use, transport terminal. This is the end of my presentation. Now is the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
Welcome, Craig.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We had a slide deck queued up. I believe I can share my screen. Let me just make sure. It's disabled right now. Oh, okay, if you want to queue it up. Okay, all set to go?
Yeah, it looks good from this end.
Okay, great, thanks. So again, my name's Craig Rowe. I'm a senior planner with Upper Canada Consultants. I'm here on behalf of the Caetanos that own the property at 16 Kemp Road West. The application that's been brought forward to the town of Grimsby is for a zoning bylaw amendment. So next slide, please. So simply put, what's being proposed is right now we have a property that's zoned specialty crop, and that's a carryover before the Kemp and Mountain Road Hamlet was established. It's a special policy area in the town's official plan, and that requires whenever we're considering a change of use on the property that we must go through a zoning bylaw amendment to establish what those uses are going to be. So in terms of the application that's been brought forward by our client, there's an existing dwelling on the property and the turkey barns that the planning staff noted. They're currently being used as a self-storage use on the property. And then there's a large open area that's out along Kemp Road West. So the overall intent of the applications is to get the zoning along the front portion of the property for Hamlet residential, and then in the back, that will apply to the turkey barns and the current self-storage use. So basically we would have residential uses in the front, commercial units in the back, and then that commercial self-storage unit would also be subject to site plan approval. Next slide, please. So in terms of our site context, I think planning staff did a really good job of running down how everything applies. We're in the hamlet, the special policy area is there. Policy 1062 requires us to do this zoning bylaw amendment, which is why we're before the town right now. We're going to be changing to the general employment for the self-storage use and going after the Hamlet residential zoning for the residential parcel in the front. In terms of the property and how it's situated, surrounded on all sides by residential uses, and then towards the intersection of Kemp and Mountain Road, we have some commercial industrial uses there, and then some that are further north up along Mountain Road as well. Next slide. So this is just an aerial photo showing the subject lands. In total, they're 4.87 hectares, or about 12 acres in size. You can see the turkey barns there with the white roofs and the graveled area of the storage, zoning specialty crop, and then the current use is a residential / commercial. Next slide. So I provide some photographs of the subject lands if members of council or the public haven't had an opportunity to go out and see it. This is the existing dwelling, 16 Kemp Road. This is taken from Kemp Road looking north. Next slide. This is looking south in front of the turkey barns at the area that would be severed off and developed with a new detached dwelling. Next slide. This is a view of the most western turkey barn on site. So we're right next to the workshop on the property. As you can see, the conversion's taken place and basically the units are accessible by those large garage doors. Next slide. This is just an opposite view. So basically every building's been split down the middle. There's access on either side. Next slide, please. And then this is behind the turkey barns looking north. You can see some of that existing residential development along Mountain Road, and you can still see kind of the rough condition of the lands that aren't currently being used for anything right now. Next slide. So this is the zoning schedule that we submitted with our applications, and this a little bit better visually demonstrates what we're trying to do. So the part in orange would correspond with the lot we're creating to build the new home, and also provides the necessary zoning to ensure that the existing dwelling is also legal use. And then the balance of the property, being part 2, would be going from that specialty crop zoning to general employment, and that would permit the self-storage use. Next slide. This is a zoom in of the preliminary site plan that we sketched. So again, you can see the parcel here. Down in the bottom of the parcel there, you see the existing dwelling, their detached garage, the storage building labeled in the middle. The small one is the workshop, and then the existing self-storage buildings that are there. Next slide. So there were 2 studies that were submitted with the applications to council and staff. The first was a planning justification report where we outlined how the intent of the application was consistent or conformed with all necessary planning documents. And then second, we provide a hydrogeological study, which was completed by TerraProbe. And the purpose of that was to determine if we did sever the lot off based on the groundwater condition in the area, if we had enough lot area to support another dwelling out there. The conclusions of that report indicated that yes, the lot size we've proposed is sufficient, and we've received preliminary comments from Niagara Region citing that they accept those findings as well. Next slide. So in terms of our next steps, there'll be a statutory public meeting under the Planning Act before council, and that will be happening at a date to be scheduled in the near future. We'll be reviewing the public and agency comments. If we got some comments tonight, things that come in at that future public meeting, and some of the review agency comments that we have right now, then council will make a decision on the application. If the zoning is approved, then we'll be able to proceed with a severance to create that new lot. And we'll also be then eligible to move forward with a site plan application for the self-storage use and make it legal. And I believe that's all the slides I have, so we could exit out of that. Those are my comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your presentation, Craig. First up, we have Alex Viala from 62 Mountain Road.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome, Alex. Good. Ready to go ahead with your comments?
Okay, so my concerns actually have nothing to do with what is being proposed on the site plan. My concern is actually what is not being proposed on the site plan, what has already occurred. If you take a look at the site plan, I believe it shows the existing storage or parking lot storage area. My issue is that it has actually been extended roughly 200 feet north of the property, well into all of our backyards, and they've moved trailers onto it already. And no disrespect, Caetanos, I can appreciate that you guys want to perhaps extend the business or whatever, but it's created a really unsightly view for us. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with you guys, once again, with all respect, but many times there's vehicles that come and they flash their high beams at us while we're eating dinner. And, you know, I believe that you guys should be able to do whatever you want, but is there anything that will be done in terms of creating privacy? Because it's really created, you know, something unsightly, and at times it's been a nuisance. So that's my few comments right there.
Thank you for your comments, Alex. Are there any further speakers on this, Nancy?
No.
No. All right.
Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, I could provide a brief response to Alex if you'd accept that.
Yep, certainly. That's good.
Absolutely. Alex, thanks for the comments. Completely understand the interface of residential and commercial and the challenges that can come with that. As I noted, if the zoning's approved, that commercial use is going to be subject to site plan approval. And through that, the town is now aware of these comments, and they will be prescribing the necessary features and functions of that site and how it needs to operate. I think it's fair to request some sort of mitigation in terms of lighting or noise, and typically those things can be accommodated by way of perhaps a woodboard fence on site to shield that area of storage, or berming. I think there's a variety of options there, and I think that Richard and his wife, maybe have a little conversation as we're going through the process with them, kind of indicate your concerns, maybe point out on site about what's going on. And that'll help us when we do our detailed design, if we can maybe put some physical measures on site to ensure that you don't have any light spillage, noise transmission, or anything like that, make it a little bit more comfortable with that interface between the use that's going on the site right now and your property. But certainly welcome to, submit those comments to us and Richard, and we'll be happy to work with you on that.
Thank you, Craig. Looks like we have a question from Councillor Vardy.
Thank you. If you could, Craig, possibly put that slide up again that showed the lot with the part to be severed. I just have a few questions.
Sure, I think planning staff has control of that.
Okay.
Was it the plan sketch or the aerial?
It was the plan sketch.
The plan sketch? Okay.
Oh, okay. So
That one should work. Yeah.
Sure, this will work. So this little square here in the corner is what you want to sever. But are you severing for zoning purposes or for, is that potentially sold to another owner? That's my first question. Sorry, I'm going to have to get up for a second and get the plug for my computer. If you could answer that question.
No problem. Thanks for the question. Yeah, so the parcel is intended to be severed to construct a new residential dwellings, and that's where our clients are hoping to build their new home. Severing the lot has nothing to do with any of the zoning provisions or trying to achieve a certain lot area. It's a convenient area that's generally flat. We feel it's suitable for development and it works well. It wouldn't be out of character to build on that site. But the intention is that they would be building their new home on the site, and then the existing dwelling would remain with the commercial use, and that may be rented out, but it will remain as part of the other parcel. So it'll probably function as a rental property.
So if I understand, I'm asking, so is this severance really one of creating two different zoning as opposed to creating necessarily two different ownerships?
The severance is to create a new lot so that our clients can build a new home on it. We have to rezone the entirety of the property anyways because there's a specialty crop zoning and there's already existing dwelling on the property. So we need to update everything in the hamlet residential zoning that we're asking for, which corresponds with that proposed lot, and where the existing house is allows for the development of the single detached dwelling. So the zoning amendment comes first, facilitates the ability to have the land use, then we would do the consent to create the lot, and then that would allow us to go forward and be able to construct a new home.
Okay, so and then my next question is, at the bottom, I see all these little squares. Are these other lots?
Yes, those are the existing lots along Mountain Road that back onto the property.
Okay, so this is what is concerning Mr. Viella. Was that? I'm not
Correct.
sure.
Yeah, Valella. Yeah,
Viella.
you got that right. Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm just trying to get a picture. Thank you very much. So there, if I'm understanding the what's on there currently should not be allowed because of the zoning, right?
The house in itself is permitted, and the barns were formerly turkey barns. So they were, the house was accessory there to that previous agricultural use, which was permitted. So when the hamlet was established, it became a settlement area, but the conversion of the turkey barns and the way that those self-storage units are, they're currently not permitted under the zoning bylaw.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councillor Bothwell.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I just have one question. On the same diagram in front of us, there's a line behind the turkey barn that kind of cuts the property into two, and the large open parcel behind the turkey barn. When is the intention to go for a severance to the Committee of Adjustment for the residential property at the front, as well as to sever behind the turkey barn and sever it into two larger parcels? Is that a potential that's going to go forward?
To you, Councillor, no. It's the quality of the image which is a bit misleading. Those are actually setback measurements that are taken from the corners of the building to demonstrate zoning. We wouldn't actually be able to sever that because if to sever off the back, it has no frontage on a public road, so it wouldn't be able to be severed.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that's the only question I had, other than, did any other residents raise any concerns to the planning committee other than Mr. Viella?
From our perspective, no, we haven't heard anything. This is, of course, our first instance of public engagement, but we haven't had any comments conveyed to us or to our client about the proposal right now. But I believe Mr. Villela is the only one that we've heard of.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Thanks.
Yeah, actually, to answer that question directly, we have not received any other correspondence from anybody else.
Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Jordan. Just some quick comments with regard to Mr. Villela backing onto the essentially parking lot at the back. I think there's probably solutions to that, like planting trees. I don't know which type of trees, maybe coniferous trees, so that they're all year long, like pine trees or something. Or maybe, I don't know, I'm not an expert on which type of trees. Mayor Jordan probably knows better than I do. But our planning staff will help find a way to create some privacy for those lots in the front on Mountain Street. And I can understand why you would want that, and I think that can be accomplished. Then otherwise, to me, it seems like an appropriate use and a change to the zoning. I think that it's fine. I'm happy.
We're just asking questions right now, where the councillors are not to be making comment at this time. No opinions.
Well, I think it looks really good, and that's my opinion. So have a good day, guys.
All right, Alex, you have a further comment?
Yes, I'm sorry. You know what? This picture wasn't up before, and I'm not sure if everybody understood what I was saying, but I'm located on 262, which is, I guess, the most east north property. Okay. And my concern, like I said, that I feel like they should do whatever they want, but my concern is just that storage lot has been extended all the way north. So that's why it's affecting me. Otherwise, like I didn't have this as an illustration before. Hopefully now you guys can visualize what I'm saying. That's all, if you didn't already.
Thank you. That will be noted in the public meeting.
Thank you.
Councillor Vardy.
I think my age is showing because I forgot my question. So if it comes back to me, I'll put my hand back up. Thank you.
All right, I see no further speakers, so I don't think, Craig, do you have any more comments that you want to add before we close the meeting?
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak tonight, and we'll be happy to address any questions that come forward through the process.
Great, thank you very much. And so the meeting for 16 Kemp Road West is now closed. Good night, everyone that's leaving now. Yeah, we're going to pause 5 minutes and then we'll start the second meeting. Thank you. Welcome back. Okay. Welcome back. We will start our second public open house for tonight for 240, 244, and 248 Main Street East. Michaela Bray is going to start with the town presentation. Welcome, Michaela.
Hi, everybody. I believe Walter will be sharing his screen, so when, oh, there it is.
You can turn the camera off if you're looking at that. Turn your camera
Good
off.
evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, member of council. My name is Michaela Bray, and I'm a planner with the town of Grimsby. Welcome to the open house for 240 and 244 to 248 Main Street East. This is an application for a zoning bylaw amendment and a draft plan of subdivision. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight for this application. The first will be a presentation from the planning department, followed by a presentation by the applicant, and finally a question and answer period at the end. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to give an overview of the planning process and how the public can be involved, to provide a policy and regulatory framework overview that applies to the application. The applicant will then provide information in detail about their proposal. And lastly, to have your questions answered and to have your feedback heard. So why do plans or bylaws change? The Planning Act provides authority to applicants to submit proposals that do not meet current official plan or zoning bylaw policy. The town is required to process these applications. The official plan or zoning can be amended if the proposed changes still meet the intent of the official plan and the resulting development is compatible with the existing surrounding neighborhood. So to review the planning process, the first step is a pre-consultation meeting. Here, the applicant meets with planning staff and other relevant agencies to propose their initial plans. At this meeting, the required studies and reports needed to support the application are determined. The applicant then submits an application package to the town of Grimsby, which is circulated to agencies and the public for review and comment. So the open house, which is tonight, materials are presented to the public, and the public can provide comment and have their questions answered. The analysis and revisions are done by the planning department, where they propose any needed revisions. And then the applicant has an opportunity to incorporate these revisions as well as comments from agencies in the public into a revised application. At the statutory public meeting, the applicant then presents their revised application. Comments and revisions are then compiled into a staff recommendation report that is forwarded to council for a decision. We encourage you to have your say throughout the application process, and we want you to tell the town what you think. This can be done through a letter or email to the planning department, as well as sending a copy of this letter or email to your ward councillors. We also encourage you to stay informed throughout the planning process by providing your mailing address to the planning department. So by providing your mailing address, you will receive notice of future meetings, information on how to get the staff report, information regarding speaking in front of committee, as well as how you can appeal the application. So a brief introduction to the application. The applicant proposes to subdivide the subject lands, which are shown in red on the diagram on the left, into 15 separate lots. 2 of these lots will face Main Street East, and the remaining 13 lots will face the proposed extension of Teeter Place. The official plan designates the subject property as low-density residential. In the official plan, there are guidelines and policies outlined for new development in the area, as well as the permitted uses. One of the permitted uses in this low-density residential designation is detached dwellings. The official plan also provides guidelines for stable residential neighborhoods where the subject property is considered to be within. This includes guidelines for elements such as lot sizing and building massing. The official plan also provides policies for Main Street to help maintain the existing character. The applicant proposes a change in zoning for the subject property. So along Main Street, which is the dotted area in the image on the right, there's a proposed change from neighborhood development to Main Street 0.25. Around the proposed Teeter Place extension, which is shown in stripes on the diagram on the right, there's a proposed change from neighborhood development in Main Street 0.25 to residential detached 4.45. This concludes the presentation from the planning department, and now we will hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Michaela. On behalf of the applicant, we have Diana Morris, planner for T. Johns Consulting, and David and Kelly DeFavre, owners of the property. Welcome. Diana?
Diana, we can't hear you. Can you please turn up your audio? Can't hear. Diana, we cannot hear you. Diana, sorry, we cannot hear you. Can't hear you. I don't know either.
They have something neat up here. There's a secondary.
I think she's on mute.
She's not on mute. Diana, can you try unplugging your earphones and plugging back in again, please?
Nancy, sometimes just taking the headset right out and just using the computer audio helps. The headset sometimes interfere too.
And now she's muted herself.
No, hello?
Okay. Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. It showed that I was unmuted and then the host had to mute me. So, okay, sorry about that. We got it figured out now. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, committee, staff, and members of the public. My name is Diana Morris, and I am the senior planner at T. Johns Consulting Group, acting agent on behalf of the owner for the subject lands located at 240, 244 to 248 Main Street East in Grimsby, in relation to the submitted applications, which involve a proposed draft plan of subdivision and zoning bylaw amendment application. Next slide. The subject lands are located east of Dorchester Drive, west of Park Road North, and south of Main Street East. They are comprised of 4 parcels with an approximate area of 1.32 hectares or 3.26 acres, with a frontage of 96.45 meters on Main Street. The lands are within an established neighborhood consisting of 1 to 2 story single detached dwellings with local commercial uses to the east along Main Street. Next slide, please. Official plan policies. The Niagara Regional Official Plan designates the subject lands as built-up area and it is within an urban area boundary. These areas will be the focus for redevelopment and residential intensification, while efficiently using existing municipal services and will contribute to the region's growth targets. The Town of Grimsby Official Plan designates the subject lands as low-density residential area. Single detached dwellings are permitted use and will provide intensification and densities on underutilized lands located within the built-up area of the town. Next slide. The subject lands are currently zoned MS, which is the Main Street zone for the lots fronting Main Street. ND, neighborhood development, for the remaining lands located at 240, 244, and 246 Main Street. These zones anticipate future development with details to be clarified in planning applications, such as the ones before you tonight. Next slide, please. The proposed draft plan of subdivision involves the completion of Teeter Place, which will end in a cul-de-sac. It also involves the creation of a total of 15 lots for single detached dwellings, including 2 proposed lots that will front onto Main Street East, shown as lots 1 and 2 on the sketch to the left, and 13 lots are proposed to front onto the cul-de-sac. Specifically, 3 lots shown as lots 3, 4, and 5 on the sketch shown will front existing Teeter Place to the rear of 240 Main Street, and the remaining 10 proposed lots will front onto the future cul-de-sac. Next slide, please. In order to implement the proposed subdivision, a zoning bylaw application was submitted as well. The proposed zoning is from a neighborhood development ND zone to MS.25 for lands located north of 240 Main Street to permit 2 single detached dwellings with frontages of 18 meters, which is the minimum allowed in the bylaw. The proposed lots consist of a minimum frontage of 19 meters or 62.3 feet. This zone is aligned with the rest of the properties along Main Street, which are already zoned MS.25. The remaining lands are proposed to be rezoned from ND and MS.25 to RD4.45 for lands located to the south of 240, 244 to 248 to permit 13 single detached dwellings with minimum frontages of 12 meters. The proposed lots range from 12 meters to 15.5 meters. The implementing zoning bylaw establishes appropriate setbacks and yard requirements which recognize the existing built form and character of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. In context with the surrounding neighborhood zones, the property along Main Street are zoned MS.25 and MS.45 with frontages permitted of 18 meters. To the east is zoned RD 2.25 with minimum frontage of the bylaw of 21 meters or 68.9 feet. To the south is zoned RD 1.25 with minimum frontage of 30 meters. To the west is RD 3.45 with minimum frontage of 15 meters. And also to the west, RD 4.45 with minimum frontage of 12 meters. Within all of the existing zones, the maximum building height allowable in the bylaw is 9 meters. The proposed RD4 zone also allows for a maximum of height of 9 meters, which will be maintained as no amendments are being requested to the maximum height requirement in the bylaw. Hence, the proposed dwellings will reflect the pattern of the heights of the existing neighborhood. In regards to the compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood, for the proposed lots on Main Street, the lots will maintain the zoning of the existing lots and therefore will be compatible with the existing streetscape in relation to zoning setbacks and height. The proposed lots will provide setbacks that are in keeping with the existing character of the street. For the proposed lots on Teeter Place, 13 lots would front the Teeter Place cul-de-sac extension, which will create an interconnected road network with the extension of the existing street. The proposed lot design has regard for existing properties along Teeter Place with lot areas that are comparable. All zoning provisions of the RD4 zone, including lot area, yard setbacks, and height will be met and in some instances exceeded. This will ensure that the lot is not overbuilt and represents compatible development. Next slide, please. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight, and I'm open to any comments and questions.
Thank you, Diana. Diana. First, we have Dania Smith from 2 Deer Park Court. Welcome, Dania.
Let me just unmute here. Hello.
Welcome.
So thank you for that presentation. I do appreciate it. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Dana Smith, and I live at 2 Deer Park Court in Grimsby. I am a lifelong resident of Grimsby and proud to live and work in Grimsby. It's my home. My house was the first to be constructed in the area. Very proud of that. And it's been passed down from generation to generation. I am very disheartened by the rapid development that has occurred in Grimsby and the surrounding area. As far as I'm concerned, our town has not only met its intensification mandates, but exceeded them. As a geographer, I'm appalled at the loss of the region's unique and fragile ecosystem, the Carolinian forest. And I do applaud and understand that Councillor Leanne Barty has set a motion at the January 18th Town Council meeting to regenerate this forest land. And actually, I wish to assist in that. However, without a decrease in development, I fear that these efforts will be a considerable struggle. And I really do mean that. And I really do have a strong understanding of the uniqueness of our Carolinian forest. In stating that, I understand that development will occur. Now, I would like to refer to the application for zoning amendment of 7 Park Road South in November of 2017. I was present at that meeting, and based on the land assessments and aerial photographs, it was argued that the application to change the zoning of 7 Park Road South from RD1 to an RD3 was not in keeping with the existing character of properties in the neighborhood. Ultimately, it was resolved that the application to rezone 7 Park Road was refused. And so the development of those lands now has 1 property facing Park Road instead of the 2 that were originally proposed. Now, the lands that the new properties, particularly on Teeter Place, will back onto are similar in size to those on Park Road. And so may I request that the considerations and understandings applied to 7 Park Road be given to the development of lands on Main Street and Teeter Place. I know that it has recently been argued that that plot of land will not be overbuilt. I question that argument strongly. If you look at the lands on Deer Park, on tour, they are not in keeping with what is being proposed there. And I very strongly argue that that development is not compatible with what is existing currently in our neighborhood. And so I asked the question to the developer, if they're stating that it is not being overbuilt and it represents compatible development, how is this actually possible if you look at what's existing there? Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Up next, we have Peter and Jean Farr, 262 Dorchester Drive. Welcome.
Okay.
All right, welcome, Peter.
At this time, I've no actual questions. I'm here more to listen to what is being done. So at this time, I don't need to ask any questions or present anything.
All right, thank you, Peter. We'll move to Paul Demare and Natalie Rolieu, 4 Tour Avenue. Welcome.
Thank you for the time to speak tonight. Wasn't sure when we were going to get a chance to speak, but my wife and I, our property is basically on the Tour side. It overlooks the vacant land that is in the proposal. And I'm looking at the map, and basically surrounding the development land, there is about 3/4 of it coming from Deer Park and Tour. And those are very sizable lots. They are currently RD1. They have a minimum lot area of 1,050 square meters, frontage of 30. And the proposal, I believe, is to take this to RD4, which is a reduction of 60% to 400 square meters and a reduction of 12-meter frontage. Considering what the surrounding areas are, that is a considerable squeeze of properties into a small area. I get that planners trying to point out that, well, you know, neighborly over on Dorchester, they've got real tight density of RD4. And that was a development that was vacant land before, so they put it there. This is a current long-standing development that has been here for a long time. And now you're trying to squeeze in a lot of high density into a small area. Their planner is focusing on Main Street and not the surrounding 3/4 surrounding area of Tour and Deer Park, which is currently RD125. The objections that we would have of facing that new development would be that there'd be significant privacy issues due to the distance between the existing homes behind the proposed buildings. The residents of the surrounding residents will have on average 2 to 3 backyards adjacent to their properties or close to the properties, decreasing the enjoyment of their current privacy levels. The proposed development of 10 two-story buildings can be considered overdevelopment compared to the current neighborhood surrounding the proposed development site where 10 residential buildings will be built. This is beyond the neighborhood character, and the proposed number of residential buildings should be rejected. Noise generation can cause significant loss of amenities. Higher density residential buildings developments can contribute to excess noise and reduce the amenity and enjoyment of the existing surrounding neighborhood of the proposed development. We also have mature environmental area vegetation and trees, which were stripped by the owner. And now we have an open field, and there are some remaining trees and significantly sizable trees there that we hope would not be removed. But when you're putting 10 buildings in that area, it's likely to be stripped out of there. So then, therefore, that loses the detracts from the neighborhood character. So again, very similar to what was presented before from our neighbor. This is an area we think that has to be looked at from the point of view of the zoning. The density is too high for the area that surrounds the majority of this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Up next, we have Debbie Costa, 234 Main Street East. Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, thank you, Jeff. No, we're just here we're at 234 Main Street East and just wanting to hear what everyone's opinions are. So I don't have any comments or concerns at this moment. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Up next, Elio Benacasa.
Likewise, I'm just observing here tonight. My first town meeting for Grimsby, so thank you.
Great, welcome. George and Donna Warkentin, 39 Main Street East.
Okay.
George.
Yes, hi. We've been living here for 36 years, watched this piece of property across the street over that time, wondering what was going to happen. I'm not prepared to speak to the rest of the development. I am concerned about the frontage on number 8 highway because we live right across the street. Only concern, the lot size seems to be compatible with the neighborhood. My only concern would be that the architectural designs of the houses would also be compatible. Our house is 100 years old. I know you can't build a 100-year-old house, but I would, when we, as Walter Basic would know, we're part of a development here a number of years ago, and we presented a plan for 241 Main Street on the corner of Vandenberg and Main Street, and there was considerable input into it, and we would just wish that we would have an opportunity to see the architectural design of the houses that will be facing Main Street. Before a plan, before building permits are issued. I think that's about all I've got to say.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Great, thank you, George. Up next, we have Oscar Dinelli and Wendy Coles, 242 Main Street East. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. No comments. We did submit our concerns and questions to the town planning, and we just like for the planning and the developers to answer those questions.
Great, thank you.
That's about it for us. Thanks.
Thank you. And we have an addition to our delegates, Nick Kazan. Nick?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just observing tonight, but thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. Oh, Councillor Frake. Councillor Frake, you're muted. No, you're still muted, Councillor Frake. There you go. No.
There. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I wanted to direct a question to, is it Diane, the lady from T. John's?
Diana, yes.
Diana, sorry, yeah.
It's okay.
You mentioned or noted in your presentation that the zoning has a height of 9 meters, and you would stay within that particular height. Now, 9 meters, that's like 30 feet. Are you planning, or is the builder planning on building something that high in those houses?
So that has not been determined yet. The owner is currently working with a builder that specializes in single detached in this type of development. So the town has reached out to me asking for some elevations. So the owner and builders are working together to provide some elevations and renderings, which we can definitely provide to the town.
Yeah, just, I can't make a comment or an opinion, but I mean, I know that a house that would be 30 feet high, I'm sure is going to cause some concerns with some of the residents in the area. So
yes.
Anyways, just wanted to clarify that. So that information is to come.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
And I would assume that we're going to see some renderings and some architectural drawings of what these houses are going to look like at some close point in time, so that the residents will have a better idea of what you're trying to build.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vardy.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Smith for her comments and support of the Carolinian Tree Initiative. I think it's a great initiative that the town can get behind, and I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to email me or give me a call and we can chat. With respect to this development, I wonder if, Diana, you could show me the diagram again of what's being proposed, because I'm having a really hard time visualizing where the street's going to go, where these properties are. So
sure.
If you could do that, I don't know, Walter, you can help, or how that just be able to point to things. There was a picture.
The draft plan of, yeah, the proposed draft plan of subdivision slide.
Yeah, but the one that was sort of in color.
Yes. Yes. So sorry, Mr. Basic, that's slide 5.
Okay, all right. So, all right. So I'm just having a hard time kind of figuring out. So I see the two properties on, or the two lots that front onto Main, right?
Yes.
So if you come down to the left-hand side, what road is that? Or those are just abutting things to the side? Okay, so that is this tour? Is that what that is?
No, sorry, that's Teeter Place.
That's Teeter Place.
Correct.
So, so your notion is to extend Teeter Place,
correct,
into a cul-de-sac.
Correct.
All right. So I'm now, I guess what I'd like to see is, and maybe I'm seeing it here, all the properties that kind of abut those properties, right? So they're at the bottom. What road is that? Is that Tour?
Tour.
So
yes.
You would be extending
farther south there.
Okay, so those are the existing houses on Tour, right? Or is that a new street?
So sorry, the plan of subdivision just is the red boundary. So basically the development is the Teeter Place extension to Street A that ends in the cul-de-sac. So our proposed subdivision would be lots 1 and 2 fronting Main, lots 3, 4, and 5, which would front the existing Teeter Place. And then the extension of Street A will encompass lots 6 to 15. So these are all the proposed lots that would front the cul-de-sac.
Okay, so then the lots that are abutting this at the bottom.
To the south, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, I can see on, like, are those the ones that could also be 30 feet high that you're proposing?
So so those are zoned RD 1.25, which the minimum lot area is 1,050, minimum lot frontage of 30, and the maximum height is 9 meters. What they are as existing, I'm not sure. I believe they range in height from 1 to 2 stories.
Okay. So basically what you could have are very large buildings overlooking into people's backyards, if I'm reading this right, and particularly lots 13, 12, and 11 come really close to the lot lines of the other properties, right?
So
I mean, if I look at lot 12, it's almost at the lot line of the 2 properties that sort of abut it. Am I right?
So the red boundary is the limits of the proposed subdivision. So if you're looking at lot 12, if you look, there's the greenery, and then the outline of, so I guess you can call it like a beige, that's just a placeholder for the type of building proposed housing envelope that can fit on the lot, taking into account the setbacks allowed in the bylaw.
Okay, so within that red boundary, those little squares at the bottom are not other lots.
Sorry, no.
Okay.
No, they are not.
So then I guess what I'd like to see is what's on the other side of those boundaries, like what's the density of sort of what it's abutting, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean?
So those, I believe so. So those are abutting.
It's almost like if you could zoom out a bit, I could see, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
There is, so that's Tour Avenue. So currently, so as you, I guess directly south of those new proposed lots, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 existing single detached properties there, lots.
There's 5.
Correct.
Okay.
Just a clarification, there's actually 3 there, not 5.
Oh, there's 3. So basically it's doubling.
Sorry, I meant the whole strip of Tour Avenue, but yes.
Okay, so it's doubling what's there now.
Yeah, correct.
And is potentially 30 feet high, or 9 meters, 36 feet high, roughly. And when the houses opposing it would likely be bungalows and maybe 2-story. I'd have to drive down and look. Am I correct?
I believe they do range between 1 and 2 stories, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm just want to make sure I understand the concerns of residents in terms of, and why, I guess to help me understand here, why would that zoning be different than everything that surrounds it? Why would maybe that's a question for planning, but why would you have a pocket zoned one way when everything around it is zoned differently, other than to squeeze stuff in, I guess?
Good point.
So if I can just add to that. So thank you for your comment, Councilor Vardy. Surrounding it is kind of a mix of RD1, RD2, RD3. So compatibility is, whether they can coexist in harmony together, not being the same as. So we are proposing singles, which are permitted use. So we're not changing any official plan policies. This zone does allow, because it's within a cul-de-sac, the lots are fairly large when it comes to lot area. I know it's difficult to see on the sketch, but the minimum lot for the RD4 zone is 12 meters. And the 12 meters will actually only encompass one of the proposed lots. The remaining lots will range above 12 meters to approximately, the biggest lot would be 15.56. And the lot area would also be exceeded in most cases from the minimum 400 square meters to 597.9 square meters.
That's considerable, I would say, wasn't it? So, okay, thank you. I know I'm not to comment, so I'm just trying to understand the proposition. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Paul Demare, you have a question or comment?
Yes, I do. I'm just, I think the last,
Lillian.
Leanne hit it nail on the head. That is basically the issue that we have as the people on tour facing this vacant lot in our backyards, that we are basically three locations or three backyards facing into 6 new developments, 6 new houses with very sizable height and width, depth. So therefore, we will have a very large bulk of buildings in our backyard, close to our backyard boundary with the new development. It is excessive, we believe, and we'd like that to be looked at by the planning department.
And in reference to the cul-de-sac of proposed Teeter Place, just beside, there's Deer Park cul-de-sac that is significantly low density. It's right beside Teeter Place cul-de-sac. And if you can see on the right of the picture there, we can see a couple of houses of the Deer Park cul-de-sac that shows the size of the lots that are very different than the Teeter Place cul-de-sac that is proposed. This is Madeline.
Il y a une grande différence. Je peux voir la différence.
Oui.
Up next, Dana Smith.
Yeah, I would just like to also make a comment in that regard. As I mentioned before, I was at the meeting for the Park Road, 7 Park Road South, and I do have to commend what occurred at that one was that an aerial view was taken of the surrounding lots to see if subdividing 7 Park Road would actually fit with the remaining character. I understand why this diagram in front of us was produced, but it is extremely misleading because it is not showing the properties in existence on Park Road or even the ones that are existing on Tour. So there's a significant lack of detail being shown in this particular diagram that I definitely think that this needs to be taken into consideration looking at the existing lot sizes, as was done at 7 Park Road.
Thank you, Dana. Is there anyone? I can't see the whole speakers list. Is there anyone more? All right. Yeah, if there are any more speakers on the list, put the hand raise button up and it'll populate my screen. Paul, do you have another question?
Just a question about the process. Now, this is the first meeting, and I understand there's a follow-up meeting after the planning department gets to delve into all this information, at which point then we have another chance to talk about it before a decision goes to council. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. Yeah, Walter will show the screen that lays out the process and make it easier for everyone.
Thank you.
So yeah, to answer your question, right now we're at the public open house stage, and then there would be further analysis and revisions, and then there would be a statutory public meeting eventually scheduled.
Which means what? What happens in those meetings?
The revised application would be presented, and then I believe further comment would be gathered.
I mean, a revised application in the sense that they take into consideration what's being talked about today, and then there's a change or there's no change.
They would take into consideration the comments that they'd gotten from the public and the agencies and compile them into a revised application.
Right. But if I just might add to that, it's totally up to the applicant whether or not they want to make the changes. It's incumbent upon them to receive all these comments and take the comments into consideration. But it's up to them to determine whether or not they wish to make changes to the application based on what they've heard from the public meeting and from any agencies that will comment on the application, like the region and the town planning department, our public works department, fire department, and so on. So there will be some dialogue after this open house. And once we receive all the comments from everybody, then we will have a dialogue with the applicants, and then they will determine whether or not they feel they need to make any revisions based on what they've heard. Does that address your concerns or comment?
At which point then you have a public meeting saying that this planning department has made this decision. And this
through you, Mr. Mayor, then there will be another public meeting similar to this. It'll be run more or less the same way, but it's the formal statutory public meeting that we're required to have by the Planning Act. And following that public meeting, then if there are any different comments, if further changes need to be made, whatever, planning staff will compile a report and detail all the comments that we've received, identify how we feel the application conforms. If we feel the application doesn't conform to planning policy, that's that we have to take into consideration, and whether or not it's good planning. And then we will make a recommendation to council, and council will make the decision whether or not to approve the draft plan, with conditions, or refuse the draft plan application. And the same thing with the zoning application. Approve it, refuse it, or approve it with conditions.
So the public has another chance to speak at the statutory public meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councillor Vardy, you have a question?
Yeah, and it's to Walter. Well, I have two questions. One, Walter, at what point am I allowed to comment? Can I comment when it comes to the statutory public meeting, or do I have to wait till it comes to council with the staff report?
The appropriate time to comment is when you have all the information before you to properly adjudicate the application. And that would be probably after the public meeting, once you have everything in front of you.
Okay, so you're saying after
You can render an opinion.
After the staff recommendation report?
That's correct.
Okay. I have to say that that's a little constraining for councillors. Is that a statutory planning process? Or is that just how we do things? Because I would think that staff would want to be able to take into consideration what councillors are saying about the proposition at hand. Can you answer that question for me, Walter?
Sure. Our recommendations are based on good planning and conformity with planning documents. So you get a technical report from us, essentially. And if members of the public point out things that we're not aware of because they have local knowledge of certain situations, then we obviously have to take those into account. But you'll get a planning opinion from us. And from council's perspective, because you essentially will be adjudicating the application to determine whether or not something's appropriate or should be approved. your decisions and your comments and your opinions should be based on having all of the information in front of you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen until after the public meeting.
Okay. I guess where I struggle is that while planning presents sort of technical aspects, we as counselors are here to represent the constituency and the people. So we're here to bring another, I would say, legitimate perspective to the proposition that should be factored in. So you kind of need the two halves of this coin, so to speak. I just feel that sometimes a little cornered by, well, the technical report says this, so I have to agree with, quote, the experts, when that's really only one half of the proposition, and the other half is, how does the community feel about it? But going back to this, though, is this our process, or is this the process as outlined that has to be followed? Like, can we change this process at all? I see you shaking your head, Walter.
I apologize. I was asked a question by the mayor, so I'll respond in a second.
Okay.
Just the comment, that's, if I believe it right, that's the planning process, is the way we do it, right? Like the.
But I guess what I'm getting at it, is it our process? Can we change it? Or is this a process that's mandated out of the Municipal Act or something, or the Planning Act, or what have you?
My concern is that, if you render an opinion early on in the process, you may be seen as not fairly adjudicating an application, and that you had your mind made up before you had all the information before you.
Okay. And then I guess my last question, and maybe Dorothy can chime in, because I know that she's paid a lot of attention to this, but we understand a lot of trees have already been taken from the property, but there are still some trees left on the property. Is there any way that we can do an analysis of those trees to make sure that we're not taking down mature trees or rare trees that should be protected? And what kind of intervention can we do at this point, just to make sure that we don't lose a whole pile of butternut trees like we did on another property? Maybe Dorothy has a comment.
Is that a question to me? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let Walter answer that, Leanne.
Okay.
Yeah, a tree preservation plan would be something that we require. So to identify all the trees that are there. I believe the trees were removed. The ones that were removed prior to the submission of the application. So we had no control over that. But a tree preservation plan would be a requirement, and that's something that we would investigate once we identify what on the tree preservation plan, what's there and what's needs to be saved, what can't be saved.
So now that they've made application, do we have the right to say, don't cut down any more trees until you have your tree preservation plan?
Yes.
And will that be done?
It's, I don't recall if a tree preservation plan was submitted as, Michaela, do you recall?
I'm just going to check quickly.
Commissions? Yeah. Maybe the applicant might want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to get in
Thank
there. It was not.
All right, so can we then, I guess through planning, ask for one immediately before any more trees are cut down? And can that be on the record that it's been requested as of tonight, so that nobody goes in there tomorrow and goes zipping them off?
Yeah, thank you. We will take that into consideration and we'll discuss it tomorrow.
All right, thank you. That's it for me.
Oscar, I see you have your hand up.
Hi, thank you. We submitted some concerns and questions, seeing the development will be surrounding us, 242 Main Street East. When can we expect those to be answered? Is it something through the process? Do we wait, or is it the developers, is it the town?
We have Nancy's going to read some questions. Once we've done with the questions from the participants of the meeting, Nancy will be reading the questions and comments that were submitted in writing.
And they'll be answered tonight, or is it something that is taken away?
You can.
Walter, I'll defer to you, but I think that they will be answered tonight, and if not, an answer will be forthcoming.
If you like, we can answer them tonight. It will. We can read your email into the record, and we can address the concerns or issues that you raise in your email tonight, if you like. It's up to you, or we can respond later in writing.
Yeah, tonight would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to read them into the record, or would you like Nancy to do that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
All right. Well,
Mr. Daniele, would you like us to read it, or would you like to read it?
No, you guys can go, please. Thank you. That'd be great.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further questions, Nancy will begin to read the questions and comments that were written in. Nancy?
Yes. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So first off, I'll start with a summary of Mr. Danelli's comments. So his concerns and questions are the historical laneway. Will it be used as a construction throughway for the development, as we have the right of way and is in use on our main property and exit? Should I keep going, or would planner like to respond? Okay, would you like to respond to that?
Sorry, is that for me or the town planner?
That's for you. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry about that. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe that is the intent, but I will make sure to get clarification on that and get back to the town planner on that. Just to be positive before I answer that.
Okay. Another question for you, Diana. Will the grading of the development affect his property?
So there was a stormwater management and functional servicing report submitted as part of our formal submission. As I can't speak to, as I'm not an engineer, but I don't believe there was any issues. There was some recommendations regarding erosion sediment controls, which again, through some town comments that we got for the functional servicing report, the engineer will be going back to address some of those comments. So I can definitely have them double check that.
Thank you. The next question is in regards to the existing fencing on his property. He has concerns that it not be removed or damaged during development. Also, he is requesting that fencing be erected by the developer prior to starting construction to ensure the safety of the occupants in his dwelling. Can you respond to that?
I definitely believe that can be arranged.
Okay. Mr. Danelli also has concerns about the existing trees on the property line. He wants to ensure that they will be protected.
I guess that can be reviewed through the tree preservation plan. If the town's requesting one, we could definitely look into those trees.
Okay. He's also expressing concerns that the two single dwellings that will front on Main Street East, he has concerns that they will not visually impact or alter the view of his historical property?
There, as part of our formal submission, a heritage impact assessment was completed. It was concluded that, I'm just gonna read off it so I'm accurate here. Significant built heritage resources adjacent or close to the proposed development will not unduly or adversely impact any of the cultural heritage landscape of Main Street East and surrounding properties, and they will not be significantly altered.
He also is requesting that his property line will be surveyed and clearly marked prior to construction.
Is that something that he's requesting be done by the developer?
Yes.
I'm assuming. Okay, I will have to correspond with the owner on that.
Okay, he's also inquiring of the town if they will assume ownership of blocks 17 and 18 after approval of the development. I guess that's a question.
I guess that's more
Walter.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. That's not normally our practice. The blocks typically are retained by the developer. So that if Mr. Daniele's property is ever to be developed, or the rear lot is to be developed onto this road and they want frontage onto the road, then Mr. Daniele would have to compensate the developer for the construction of the road, fair market value for the land that would have to be acquired for future development. So that's typically not the town's practice. It's something that we leave to the market, for lack of a better term. Thank you.
Okay. So I have some comments and concerns that, again, I'll just summarize, and they're from the residents at 4 Tour. They have concerns about the high density development and whether or not how it will fit in with the existing development. And can you answer that one, Diana? Oh, shoot.
Sorry, I was just making a note. Do you mind asking that again? Sorry.
Yes, so they have some concerns about a higher density development impacting a lower density development. Basically, they want you to give an explanation of how that will fit in with the structures that are there.
So when looking at the site, we looked at the zoning and basically what would fit. What would fit that is compatible, which can live in harmony with the surrounding neighborhood. So the proposed zone, again, will not exceed the maximum height. We're looking at intensification due to provincial policies in regards to using infill development for increased density intensification. Again, I've written down all of these concerns. And I did not mention, I know that noise was mentioned from the resident from Cheer Avenue. A previous noise study was not submitted as part of a formal application, but we are underway getting a noise study completed. So that will also be forthcoming with the town. And again, all of these details in regarding overlook or shadowing and what have you, this will all be determined through some of the architectural designs that are going to be put forth from the architect and the builder.
Thank you. The last letter basically mentions the same concerns, so I won't read it as we're already aware of those issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Dana Smith, you have your hand out, Dana? I think you're muted still.
Let me see. No, there we go. We're good.
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah,
now.
I just had two questions in particular to the developments on Teeter Place. What is the driveway designation for these? Are they to fit two vehicles or one vehicle? And if they're to be one vehicle, where are these second? Because we all know people have more than one vehicle. Where are they supposed to be parking?
They would require 2 spots for a residential dwelling.
2 spots? Okay. So then we don't run the risk of having some on-road parking? Because there doesn't seem to be any place to put vehicles in that cul-de-sac.
Diana, do you have any further comment?
Sorry, there you go. Again, the details aren't finalized in regards to, if the driveways are going to be paired, or I believe I'll know further when I get the proposed elevations from the builder. So I can't really answer that right now.
Okay. Can I also just inquire, was there a traffic study done? Because neither Tour nor Deer Park have sidewalks. And especially during now, there is a lot of people that walk these streets. So, lots of families, etc. Is that not a potential safety risk to increase the amount of traffic in the area?
I can answer that through you, Mr. Mayor. At the formal consultation time that we put forth these applications, a traffic study was not requested from the town. So no, a traffic impact study was not completed.
Okay. And so now I'm going to pose the question, should one be done due to the lack of sidewalks in the area?
I'll answer that. A traffic study, we have a traffic specialist on staff, and he did not feel that a traffic study was required based on the number of units that are proposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Up next, we have Paul Demare. Paul?
I'm just listening to the report from T. John's report, and to me, it's sort of a lot of questions unanswered and looks sort of half done. And I'm just wondering that what else is missed? I mean, the fact of the matter that the owner came in and stripped the vegetation without, before the application presented, but this work is being done so that the T. Johns would be aware of the vegetation issues. Also, the other points about traffic and noise, and also that was brought forward earlier by my discussions in my letter, it wasn't addressed satisfactorily in the report. So I think the report needs to be improved, or the application rejected because of lack of information, lack of involvement in this. And as a person that's going to be affected by it, I think we need to have a look at it closely. And I request that the planning department gets more involved in this. And certainly we have a lot more information when the next meeting comes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vardy?
Yeah, I just have a question about the parking. When you say there's parking for 2 cars, does that mean 1 car in the garage and 1 in the driveway? Or is that 2 spots side by side? Can you clarify that for me?
So in the zoning bylaw, it's required that there's 2 spots in any configuration.
So that could be 1 in the garage and 1 in the driveway?
Yes, correct.
I'll tell you right now, there's no way I could get a car in my garage. So, that's a concern because everybody has 2 cars, and I'd say not too many people have room in their garage for a car. So just putting it out there that's an observation, not a comment. Thank you.
Councillor Frake?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, having listened to the number of comments, questions, and suggestions there tonight, I must admit I'm a little bit disappointed that there's not more information in this particular meeting tonight. It seems like we're taking away most of the questions, and I think it's incumbent that the builder come forward with a little more information, considering constituents only have about 2 opportunities to speak at these meetings. And it looks like we're going into the next meeting, the statutory one, with a lot of questions. And after the next meeting, we're kind of next step in the chain is practically to council. But, I mean, parking, that should have been at least established. The height of these houses hasn't been established. There's so many things missing in this particular open house tonight. I must admit I'm a little bit disappointed, and hopefully there will be a lot of clarification and in the next meeting. And anyway, so hearing the parking, I know you mentioned paired parking, Diana. I mean, what's paired parking? Can I just ask that question? Because I mean, one of the biggest issues I have in this town is with parking, and the staff know that, and council know how much I'm a key person on how this parking and traffic goes around this town. Can you address what paired parking is?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't believe, I apologize, I don't believe I made that comment regarding the pairing. I'm not sure if it was the town or not.
I heard someone say paired parking. I don't know what that means. Is there such a thing as paired parking?
I know there's tandem, which is one behind the other.
Anyway,
and paired, I'm assuming it's side by side.
Either I heard it wrong or go ahead.
Councillor Vardy, I think Councillor Vardy used the word paired.
No, she didn't. It wasn't Councillor Vardy.
Anyway, but
No, I think
paired driveways.
There were 2 spots.
paired driveways.
No, you know what? I apologize.
And one of them in the garage.
Okay, so
Okay.
maybe it was paired driveways. What's a paired driveway?
I apologize. Yes, sorry. So what I meant by paired driveways, so say you're going around the cul-de-sac, there's the one house has their garage and driveway on the one, say to the east side, and then the adjacent house will have their driveway kind of paired next to the other one.
So it's not a case of 2 houses sharing driveways.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Anyways, I do encourage your developer, and I'm sorry, who's the developer? Did you mention that name? Who's the developer?
No, I did not.
Can we? Are we allowed to know that? Question.
Can we know the name of the developer?
Can we know the name of the developer? Thank you. Is that confidential information or something? Or
Diana, I think you're on
No, I'm
mute.
sorry. Yeah, it's David DeFavre, but I'm trying to get the actual company
you don't know the name of the company?
that they're with. I believe it's a number company.
That was it? David Debris, that's it?
David DeFavre.
DeFavre. And there's a company name attached to him as well? Is there?
Yeah, I will get back to the owner on that because I know that there has been some negotiations and so forth. So I'd rather just get in touch with him on that.
Yeah, again, it sounds like mystery. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I have to say that makes me a little.
We have the owner here, so I think we could have the question answered pretty easily. David, you're here. So.
Sorry, I just had to turn on my camera. Yes, the businesses that are developing the company are just holding companies that own the land. There is no development corporation. And my wife is the owners.
So you're doing it in your own name, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no company attached to it. You're the company.
Well, there are companies that own it. We own the companies. but there's no specific development corporation.
There's no one developer that's coming in to build this. There's more than one?
No, we're developing and we have a builder that is going to be doing the buildings. That's a separate corporation. That's not a.
Okay, so you haven't selected developer yet?
No, we are the developer. We've selected a builder who we're in an agreement. Once we're done developing the lots, he will take them over and build homes.
Okay, so you're negotiating with the builders, builders. Okay.
Just one builder.
Being that you are the owner and the power behind this company, hopefully you have listened to all of the comments you're getting tonight from the various residents. There are some concerns, and hopefully you will come back with some alterations that make them all happy. Anyways, thank you for attending, by the way. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. Up next, we have Nicholas Kazan.
Yes, thank you. I've got a couple of questions. Number one, I'm a little confused. Is this the first time that the counselors are getting the information about the proposed development, or were they emailed ahead of time with respect to what the proposed plan was? Hello?
Hi, sorry. The plan was circulated once it was submitted, so there's been a chance to review.
And
But
how
this is
long
the
ago
first-
was it? How long ago was it submitted
Walter,
for the counselors to review?
Walter, do you have the date? I'm not sure if I was here at that point.
Sorry, I can answer that question.
Thank you.
It was submitted September 18th, 2020.
So the plan was submitted September 18th, 2020 for the counselors to review. And I'm having a hard time understanding as to why they are having difficulty understanding the plan with respect to its geographical nature and its impact on the surrounding neighborhood. I'm a resident of Grimsby. I've lived here for 35 years. I'm a huge advocate for responsible development. This site is as responsible as it gets, considering all the intensification that has taken place in Grimsby. And, you know, we're talking about parking, we're talking about tandem parking. The proposed homes that are being looked at for this site are conclusive in exactly what is built within the Dorchester neighborhood. In fact, the proposed homes are of even higher caliber, which is going to raise property value. So I'm having a really hard time with the fact that we're looking for opinions and we're looking for insight, and counselors are allowed to give opinions and allowed to give insight on a plan that it seems like they're nowhere near prepared to comment on. There has to be, in order for us to move forward properly, we have to have educated discussions. We have to have, you know, constructive discussion so that we can maintain conformity within the residential developments and nodes of Grimsby and the surrounding areas. And I'm just a little miffed that we're talking about what we don't know what, you know, we know what tandem parking is, but we don't know what paired parking is. Well, we're talking about double car driveways. We're talking about, you know, double car, 3-car garages. So what am I missing? Please help me better understand the process, because I'm sitting here listening to this, having dinner, trying to understand how this discussion this evening has been anywhere near constructive for the proposed development or Grimsby in its entirety, because this is as responsible as development gets within Grimsby, considering everything that's taken place to the west and the surrounding areas, the intensification that's taken place down on Central. I'm really at a loss. So please help me clarify. Please help me understand. Thank you.
Walter, you probably want to clarify that.
Yes, the application was deemed complete in October 19th of last year. We were unable to set up this open house until recently. Council has not seen the application until recently. Council received, I believe, as part of the agenda package, this application and the background information with the staff background report last week. I don't recall when it was posted on the website. It was probably posted on our website maybe a month ago with all of the documents that were submitted. And that was available to the public or to anybody that has an interest or would have noticed that it was the application was made, but it wasn't until recently that the public was made aware 3 weeks ago in advance of the open house, and but the detailed information was circulated as part of the agenda last week. Just to clarify, thank you.
So there was enough time for the councillors to become familiar with the site. And I mean, listen, Grimsby's not that big. If the residents know, the councillors know. You know, if you want to, in Grimsby, if you want to remember what you did, if you get Alzheimer's, just ask your neighbor. I've lived here a long time.
Yeah, we're going to limit your comments now. We're moving on to George. You're next. George? You're on mute.
Sorry. I'm not opposed to development. I'm interested in development that will enhance the neighborhood. I would suggest that the planners, or not the planners, but the developers came into this meeting a little bit skinny. And I would like to have another meeting called prior to going further, where I do recall being involved with the development in behind us here with Landmark. When the first meeting was called, they had detailed plans of houses that were going to be built. They showed what the neighborhood would look like. I don't see any of that here. We're talking about stuff we shouldn't be talking about. It takes a lot of time up. And the reason that's happening is because the plans aren't detailed enough. There's not enough vision being put into it. I want to see the style of construction that's going to happen. What's the neighborhood going to look like? And if the developer can't produce that, then he's jumping too early into this. The neighborhood needs to know what the end product will look like and what it will do to the neighborhood. They're all single family homes. That's great. You know, I can only comment in regards to Main Street here. But I want to know what the houses are going to look like. We had to produce that here for us, and we have the right to see that, in my opinion. So another meeting with detailed plans of what the end product is going to be. What are the driveways going to be? Are they going to be gravel? Okay. Why don't we finish the sidewalks that go down, is it Teeter there? There's no sidewalks there. Why don't we finish the sidewalks off down Teeter so people can walk? There's going to be increased traffic coming off of Teeter. That's not compatible with kids walking to school. So some more work's got to be done on this thing before you come to the public again. My comments, that's it.
Thank you, George. Nancy, you finished all the reading? So, oh, I see Paul, you have your hand up.
I'm talking about the issue of the Dorchester Estates. There's different densities in that estate. Some are RD4, some are RD3s. Where we are located currently in Tour Avenue and surrounding this development, we are RD1s. So no one's objecting to development. and having houses in that back of the area. It's about density, pure and simple. If you're on Dorchester Estates and you've got neighbors that are RD4, you've chosen to live there. If you're an RD1 and all of a sudden you put RD4 beside you, that's different. It's about density, and I think Grimsby is a place that you live in where you have different densities, but not in the middle of a low density area. You're sticking one little area, you're putting in R4. RD3s maybe, RD2s, but not RD4s. It's too dense. That's my whole issue. Not about parking, not about noise per se, but density. It all comes from that. Thank you.
Pardon? Yeah. If there's any, if anyone has anything new that we haven't discussed about, we will welcome that. If not, sir, do you have any further comments, Walter? If not, I'll call this meeting of planning adjourned. So everyone have a good evening and good night. Thank you.